Thanks for joining us today here on Backwoods Pursuit. Today I'm going to show you how to sharpen a 3-blade broadhead using a Work Sharp field sharpening tool. Let me show you how to sharpen a broadhead with the Work Sharp tool, as well as using the Valkyrie sharpening system. And I'm going to be sharpening the Annihilator broadhead, show you how to sharpen the Annihilator. This is going to work for really any 3-blade broadhead sharpening that you want to do, as long as you've got a cut-on contact tip like the Annihilator right here. The Valkyrie obviously is going to be real similar, or a lot of your 3-blade broadheads that you're going to want to be sharpening. I like to use these two in tandem. That seems to work really well for me. I know there's a lot of other great options out there for sharpening your 3-blade broadheads. Follow along on our Facebook and Instagram accounts if you haven't done that yet, as well as hit that subscribe button for us, and check us out on our website, backwoodspursuit.com. Let's get started. Alright, so this broadhead that I'm going to be sharpening is the actual arrow and broadhead that I used this year in taking my elk out in the field. I had a clean pass through, and the arrow went, obviously through the elk and then buried into the dirt on the other side, all the way up to the nock, and I was able to dig through the ground, dig through the dirt, and find the arrow. So this is the actual broadhead that has been used out in the field. So we're going to get this back to super sharp to use once again. It still retained a pretty decent edge. So to get started, depending on how much edge you have left on the broadhead here, I'm going to go ahead and take the Work Sharp here and start with the coarse side of the stone, of this diamond stone. This is a 220 grit, so if you have a lot of reshaping to do, if you dinged it up pretty good or took a lot of the edge off, you want to start there. Then move over to this other side here, which is the 600 grit, and then you have a fine and a coarse ceramic, a plate over here that you can then hone it a little bit even more. And then lastly there, the leather strop. So I'm going to do kind of a combination of the field sharpener here, and then move over to the Valkyrie sharpening system to get that extra final edge. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to take the broadhead right here. This is the coarse side. I'm going to just lay it flat so that the angle is just perfectly even on both sides, and just run it like this, and then do an even number of strokes on each blade. Now if you want to do 2 or 3, and then rotate, do the same number. That way you're not grinding more on one side than another, but do that and just rotate through. And you want to make sure you don't go too deep this way, so you take the edge off of the tip, or too far back here so you don't get any pressure on the tip of that arrow. Obviously this is the coarse, so you're not going to get a super fine edge on this, but you're just going to take the majority of the larger burrs and imperfections out of that broadhead with this part. After that, flip it over to this side, and we're going to use that, do the same stroke, the same structures, and do 3 at a time here, and then this will bring a little bit more of an edge onto it. Just like that. We'll go around again, and this will give you a pretty good edge right here, because this is a 600 grit sharpener, or 600 grit stone on this side, and that'll get you pretty darn close right there. So now once you've got that done, you can move over to, here you can see on the edge of the Work Sharp here, where you've got fine and you've got coarse, and then one for fish hooks as well. So I'm going to move this to the coarse section right now, and then you can go ahead and do just like this across the coarse ceramic portion of this sharpener. It does a pretty good job. There's a reason why I like to use the Valkyrie system at this point. But if you're out in the field and you do this, then this will do a fine job. So at that point you can flip this over to the fine ceramic tile side and start working your way through each of the edges right here with this. And that'll give you a pretty darn good edge right there using just the Work Sharp field sharpener. So that's one way to sharpen the Annihilator broadhead, just using only the Work Sharp here. My preferred method here is to start with the Work Sharp. If I've got an edge here on the Annihilator that, or I need a better edge on there and it's a little bit rough, I like to start with the Work Sharp here on the coarse and the fine diamond plates to get a pretty good start on the edge. Start with the 220, move over to the 600 grit, and then once I've got that, I'm going to move over to the Valkyrie sharpening system. So on the Valkyrie system, you're going to need obviously to purchase the Valkyrie sharpening system. You can get that on the website. I'll put a link to not only the Valkyrie system, but as well as the Annihilator Broadhead and that work sharp tool. I'll put that down in the description for you so you can check those out if you'd like. But to use the Valkyrie sharpening system, you'll want to purchase that. And what comes with that is this system here. You just get these wheels here, and you'll need also to have a grinder here, just a bench grinder. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you do need to have that, and then you attach those to your bench grinder like I've done here. You want the wheels to rotate away from you, so you don't want those to be spinning that back towards you. That way it could be dangerous. So depending on your grinder, this one here, it naturally spins towards you, so you got to flip it around so that it's more or less backwards, so the on-off switch is on the back side. This is just a Ryobi. It's fairly cheap over Home Depot or whatnot. I'll put a link to this in the description as well for you. But basically, what you'll do is you'll start this up, and then you got a couple of things that come with the system. You got some rouge that goes on the paper wheel here, and this is just the fine tuning portion of the sharpening system, and then this is the grinding wheel over here, and then just some wax that comes with the Valkyrie system. So to get started here, all we got to do is flip on the grinder, and then we want to warm the stone up a bit, just some piece of steel or whatnot, just to get that warmed up. That warms the stone up, and then we'll use the wax and prep the stone with the wax, and we're ready to go. So now we're going to grab the arrow, and more or less we're going to let the wheel do the work. So we're not going to put a ton of pressure on here, but basically just going to run that through, do one, and then rotate. Not a lot of pressure. And then, like we did before, equal number of strokes on each of the sides, so we're not grinding too much on one side over the other. So once you've got that done, you're going to move over to the paper wheel side and stick some of this rouge on here and prep the paper wheel. And then we're going to move over here and the same kind of thing, just lightly go evenly across each of the edges. And this puts that final edge on it. You've obviously at this point already got a really good edge on the broadhead. So this is just making it just absolutely nasty, filthy sharp at this point. So we'll do that, and then we're going to clean this off. Alright, so that is how I like to sharpen my fixed 3-blade broadheads. I know, again, there's a lot of other options out there, but doing it this way, I love how the Valkyrie sharpening system enables you to get equal pressure to all the edges when you're going around each of the edges. It makes it really a uniform and well-balanced sharpening job, and it's just really fast and really easy. You're letting the grinding wheel do the work for you. So you probably can't see that well in the video, but it's just really, really nasty sharp. And that's an arrow and broadhead that has been all the way through an animal and dug into the ground and been resharpened. I've actually resharpened this a couple of times already. So they've held their edge super well, and it's ready to take out on my next mule deer hunt here in a couple of weeks. So I'll be taking, again, this same arrow out and putting it right back in my quiver. I love how you can reuse these and resharpen them so easily. So check those out if you'd like. Hopefully it's helpful for you, and we'll see you next time in Backwoods Pursuit.